World Cricket's governing body, the ICC, warns Pakistan of long-term consequences after Islamabad signals that it will boycott its blockbuster tie with India at the upcoming T20 World Cup. Is politics pushing cricket to the edge? We gauge opinion this hour. Frontrunners in the upcoming Bangladeshi election, Jamaat-e-Islami claims it will deny women from holding top jobs if it wins the vote, as the party upholds Islamic principles. It marks a significant U-turn in the nation's political history, which has seen women govern for decades. Donald Trump claims India will snap up Venezuelan oil over Iranian crude products, hinting at a massive market shift and realignment as Washington pushes its own political will into energy. Hello and welcome. You're watching RT India. I am Osama Shab, live from New Delhi. We have a packed bulletin ahead with major world developments, including our top story. Has Pakistan walked into a Bangladesh-style trap? Well, Islamabad has said that it is going to boycott its match with India at the T20 World Cup that is scheduled to take place in Sri Lanka. In response, the cricket's world governing body, the ICC, it has issued a strong warning that Pakistan would pay the price literally.
The government of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan grants approval to the Pakistan cricket team to participate in the ICC World T20 2026. However, the Pakistan cricket team shall not take the field in the match scheduled on February 15, 2026 against India.
The ICC notes the statement that the government of Pakistan has made regarding the decision to instruct its national team to selectively participate in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026. The ICC hopes that the PCB will consider the significant and long-term implications for cricket in its own country, as this is likely to impact the global cricket ecosystem, which it is itself a member and beneficiary of.
And earlier, we spoke to Mr. Bimal Soni, the former Indian cricket team manager. He stressed that sport should remain free from any political interference.
Cricket should be left out of all this politics. And if the countries are playing this politics, whether it is the Pakistan government or whether it is Bangladesh, then I think sport is affected. And I am, being a sportsman, would not like to be involved in anything like this. And if this happens, of course, the game of cricket, which is very popular in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, will suffer, and people will suffer who want to enjoy the cup rather than play this game. It will affect the broadcasters, it will affect the revenue of the tournament, and of course, it will make suffering for Pakistan board also. They will not get the money, and that money could have been utilized for development of cricket in Pakistan. So I think from all round, this is a loss to the game and loss to the cricketers and loss to the public who love the game. So this is definitely a political stunt which should not have happened, whether it is from A country, B country or C country. ICC should take action against Pakistan. It's a tournament which is being spoiled by this political behavior, and 100% action should be taken. If they are banned for 6 months or they are not permitted in another tournament, some action should be taken so that this is not repeated in future. The integrity is affected. If one team, which is very powerful, is one of the 3-4 good teams, does not participate because of political reasons, definitely the tournament is affected. Pakistan can always say that India won the tournament because we were not there. This is not the way World Cup is organized, and it is affecting Sri Lanka, India, and everybody. So I think this is a very wrong step on part of Pakistan government or Pakistan PCB to have lost this. I'm sure PCB has not done it. It's a government decision, but still, it is not good for the game and especially for the Pakistani cricketers.
Bangladesh's political landscape could see a sharp and symbolic shift. From an era dominated by two powerful women, the country is now staring at elections with little or no female representation. One of the key contenders in the upcoming polls, the Jamaat-e-Islami, it has openly stated that its organizational structure, it is guided by Islamic principles and therefore it will allegedly forbid women from holding top positions. In a now deleted post, the Jamaat chief, Shafiqur Rahman, he referred to it as another form of prostitution. He then claimed his account was hacked.
There has been false and misleading content circulating on social media to misrepresent our position. Our manifesto has been clear from day one. We want women active and respected in education, healthcare, administration, entrepreneurship, and public service. This means uninterrupted education for girls, safe campuses, zero tolerance for harassment, women-centered healthcare, equal pay, safe workplaces, childcare support, and skills for dignified work. A Bangladesh that respects women is a Bangladesh that moves forward.
And on Sunday, the party's secretary for its women's wing reasserted that Jamaat does not favor having women as Amir or as its leader. In fact, she said that women would also be excluded from all top positions.
Jamaat-e-Islami is an Islamic organization and it will follow Islam. This is natural. In the Holy Quran, Allah has stated that men are the guardians and the maintainers of women. According to this, in an Islamic organization, women cannot assume top leadership positions.
And earlier, we spoke to journalist and geopolitical analyst S.L. Kanthan on Jamaat's stance on women and how it might spell trouble for Dhaka ahead of the national election. Listen in.
They are sending a very clear message as to what the future holds, and they will probably have a big victory. You know, they will do very well, and I think it's going to be dark times for Bangladesh, and I really don't know how the opposition can make a difference, because the violent people, they always win. That's the sad story of politics.
Yeah.
And the moderate people, they don't like to fight on the street. They don't like, civil wars. So they just give in. And then it's, like Jamaat-e-Islami was considered as a terrorist group by many countries,
yeah.
Russia, India, and I believe even China. So this is not the sort of the group that should be taking the lead in defining the future of Bangladesh.
And as the Global South emerges as a driving force for the multipolar world, India has recalibrated its strategic priorities. New partnerships are being actively pursued while older alliances that were once central, they're quietly being deprioritized. In fact, let me break down how India's latest neighborhood aid allocations show a change in that strategy. Bhutan, one of India's closest strategic partners, it has received one of the largest increases, with aid rising to nearly $250 million. In fact, this reflects the country's strong collaboration on hydropower and infrastructure projects. The allocations for Afghanistan, that also grew, reaching $16.4 million, signaling continued support and deeper diplomatic engagements. Ties with Afghanistan have been steadily strengthening, with India upgrading its mission in Kabul to an embassy. Nepal as well has benefited from higher allocations, with aid rising to $87.3 million. Sri Lanka's allocation was raised to $43.6 million, helping both nations navigate the ongoing economic challenges. On the other hand, Bangladesh, the Maldives and Myanmar, they have faced reductions. The decrease comes amid heightened tensions with Bangladesh following extradition requests related to former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who's been convicted of crimes against humanity and sentenced to death in absentia. In fact, Dhaka's aid, it has dropped to $6.5 million, while allocations for the Maldives dropped to almost $60 million. and Myanmar's that has slipped below $33 million. In fact, India has made no allocation for the Chabahar port project in its 2026 union budget. In the budget last year, almost $11 million they were set aside for the port project in Iran. In fact, this move, it comes amid rising US-Iran tensions. Last September, Washington imposed sweeping sanctions on Iran but granted India a 6-month waiver for the Chabahar port project set to expire in April. Now, as tensions flare again, President Donald Trump, he has announced a fresh 25% tariff on countries that are trading with Iran. Now, India's Chabahar port remains strategically crucial. Chabahar, in fact, serves as India's gateway to the West. It offers direct access to Afghanistan as well as Central Asia while completely bypassing Pakistan. Just 70 kilometers from Pakistan's Gwadar port, it also acts as a strategic counter to China's Belt and Road push in the region. Chabahar, it also lies just outside the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most vital oil trade routes. In fact, I'm also now joined by foreign policy expert Dr. Zakir Hussain to speak more on this topic. Dr. Hussain, thank you very much for speaking with RT India. How do you see this push from India? Is this a signal from our country that strategy comes ahead of anything else?
Yes, both. You are right that the strategy comes ahead both everything, but at the same time, economics also plays a role because Trump has set to impose 25% tariff whoever is trading with Iran, while India is already reeling under 50% tariff due to 25% oil tariff from Russia. So India cannot afford to be charged with 75% tariff if it trades with Iran. And the waiver is going to end in April. So that's why I feel that this is a temporary move. Temporary, maybe a long-term temporary, because of two reasons. Number one, Armada is there, which is going to stop everything in the region. Nobody can trade from Indian Ocean water. And second, that we also find that something is going to settle between between USA and Iran. And we cannot say that this government will go, but something will be negotiated between the two countries because this tension between the standoff between the two countries cannot go forever. So that's why what I feel that this is the decision of India to take this step right now because we know that Chabahar plays a very significant role as a multimodal hub of connecting Central Asia, Afghanistan, up to Eastern Europe, East Asian corridor. So what India has taken this step just to evade from the anger of Trump, and at the same time, we also know that the relation between India is strategic, and tomorrow the situation stabilizes. Again, both countries will resume their partnership in Chabahar.
So, Dr. Zakir Hussain, do you think that New Delhi is actually buying time until the sanctions landscape that becomes clearer?
New Delhi is trying to buy time. At the same time, Iran has also showed its position stand that it has said that it is cancelling this project from India because it is also testing its partners. But after all, when situation stabilizes, India will again re-emerge as a close partner because India is a big supplier of goods and receiver of oil and gas also for that big gas. So I feel that this is a temporary phase. It may be longer than expected, but depends on the situation between USA and Iran.
Dr. Hussain,
resume.
Yeah. Dr. Hussain, do you think New Delhi is also bracing for tougher US sanctions, especially once the Chabahar waiver expires in April?
Yes. Yes, it is obvious that if New Delhi, the sanction will be there, that 25% tariff US will impose on us it has to let us see what happens with China.
Yeah.
China is the largest trading partner of Iran, and in April, President Trump is going to visit China. What happens there? Let us see.
Dr. Hussain, what does it mean for India's access to Afghanistan and Central Asia, according to you? Do you think pulling back funding, do you think it weakens India's access, according to you?
On the one hand, India has increased the financial support to Afghanistan in this budget. On the other hand, it has stopped its flagship project, which is connecting Afghanistan and Central Asia.
Yeah.
India has invested around $2 billion there, building road to connect Chabahar to Kabul and further. But at the same time, our bonhomie with the Taliban government is increasing, but situation is not very favorable for all these things. Every country is taking initiative, but they are not taking firm stand on anything. Situation, if Iran, the way Iran is behaving, it's sending its drone, taking, reckoning all these things about is Abraham and all this, and the warning of Iran and grand leader that it will, the war will engulf all the region. So it's a time to wait and watch what happens there. So the decision of India, I feel that it is a right decision in the interest of its country.
Yeah. In fact, the big question at this point of time is how does this decision affect the relationship between India and Iran, especially at a sensitive moment. But Dr. Zakir Hussain, thank you very much for speaking with RT India.
Thank you.
With US warships strategically positioned in the waters of West Asia, the leaders of Iran as well as America, they are locked in a war of words. The Iranian supreme leader, he has warned that any military actions by the United States, it could spark a region-wide war, with Donald Trump claiming that the world will find out if Iran doesn't strike a deal. Here's what the US president had to say.
We have the biggest, most powerful ships in the world over there, very close, a couple of days, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we don't make a deal, then we'll find out whether or not he was right.
Well, this comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran are escalating sharply as U.S. President Donald Trump has responded to a warning from Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, that any attack from Washington could spark a regional war. Well, the standoff comes amid reports of U.S. military assets being positioned in the Middle East and ongoing negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. Well, Trump's comments come as U.S. warships, including USS Abraham Lincoln, are deployed toward Iran amid heightened tensions. Officials say this mix of military pressure and public statements is intended to push Tehran toward negotiations, while signaling that the U.S. is prepared for other outcomes if diplomacy fails. In response to this show of force, Iran's supreme leader made strong public remarks, asserting that any U.S. attack would have consequences for the whole region.
The U.S. should know that if they start a war, this time it will be a regional war. Their words are not new, saying this will do this and that. In the past, Americans have repeatedly threatened that all the options are on the table, including military action. Now, Trump says they have brought warships and so on. The Iranian nation is not influenced by these words, not afraid of such things. We are not the instigators and we do not seek to attack any country, but the Iranian nation will deliver a firm blow to anyone who attacks or harasses it.
Well, expanding on the broader U.S.-Iran confrontation, Ayatollah Khamenei outlined the historical and strategic roots of the tensions, stressing Iran's national resources, strategic location, and the long-standing rivalry with Washington as central to the current crisis. His remarks linked past threats, regional ambitions, and economic interests to be the persistent cycle of mistrust and posturing, while addressing a crowd in Tehran marking the anniversary of Ayatollah Khomeini's return from exile in 1979, which led to the overthrow of the U.S.-backed Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. Iran's supreme leader emphasized Iran's vigilance and ability to defend itself against foreign threats.
What's the issue with the U.S. and Iran? This confrontation of over 40 years. It can be summarized in a few words. America wants to swallow Iran, and the valiant Iranian nation and the Islamic Republic are an obstacle. Iran has many attractions: gas, rich mines, strategic geographical location, and many others. Iran is a country that naturally attracts the greedy gaze of a power-hungry expansionist force.
Despite the warnings and military posturing, Iran maintains that it is ready for negotiations. Despite the threats and public warnings from both sides, Iran continues to signal that it is prepared to engage in diplomatic talks, though with clear caution and conditions. The U.S. administration has indicated willingness to meet with Iran, signaling that diplomacy remains an option even as military assets are positioned in the region. Meanwhile, earlier, Iran's top security official Ali Larijani recently indicated that progress is being made toward a framework for negotiations with the United States. Writing on X, Larijani said, contrary to the artificially manufactured media war narrative, the formation of a framework for negotiations is progressing, while signaling that despite the heightened rhetoric and military posturing, diplomatic channels are continuing to move forward. Well, meanwhile, reports indicate that Iran had planned a 2-day live-fire naval exercise in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global shipping lane and a key route for energy supplies, which was scheduled to start on Sunday. However, there is no official confirmation from Iranian authorities or state media that the drills have taken place. The United States has warned Tehran against any unsafe and unprofessional behavior near its forces in the area. Responding to the warning, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the U.S. military is now attempting to indicate how our powerful armed forces should conduct target practice in their own turf. Now, as both sides maintain a strong rhetoric and military readiness, analysts and regional observers caution that miscalculations could escalate into a wider regional conflict, while diplomacy remains the central factor that could prevent war.
After months of insisting India had ditched Russian oil, Washington's commander-in-chief is now saying Delhi will drop buying Iranian crude and instead buy Venezuelan products.
We've already made a deal. India is coming in and they're going to be buying Venezuelan oil as opposed to buying it from Iran. So we've already made that deal, the concept of the deal.
In fact, India's petroleum minister, though, highlighted that the country has been buying from Venezuela for years. He noted that India has the capabilities to refine the heavier crude that is found in Latin America.
India has been buying oil from Venezuela for a long time. Venezuelan crude is heavier and more difficult to refine than many other crude types, but India's refineries have the capability to process it.
In fact, here's a breakdown of India's capabilities and why Venezuelan oil matters. Well, there are 27 refineries in India with a huge capacity. It's in fact the 4th largest globally and the 3rd biggest in Asia, capable of processing a wide range of crude grades. Now, Venezuelan oil specifically is dense and rich in sulfur, making it harder to refine, also requires specialist cracking equipment. Now, the refining complex at Jamnagar in Gujarat, it is built to process heavier and cheaper oil like Venezuela's and then export. The oil traditionally sourced in South America, it is more expensive to refine than lighter crudes. While India's complex refineries, they can handle it, it requires more energy as well as chemicals, making it more expensive to produce. Meanwhile, Islamabad says its security forces have now killed more than 170 Balochistan Liberation Army militants as it accuses New Delhi of fanning deadly attacks over the weekend by the rebel group. India has hit back, asking Pakistan not to shift blame for its own internal failings.
We categorically reject the baseless allegations made by Pakistan, which are nothing but its usual tactics to deflect attention from its own internal failings. Instead of parroting frivolous claims each time there is a violent incident, it would do better to focus on addressing long-standing demands of its people in the region. Its record of suppression, brutality, and violation of human rights is well known.
And for insights into the attacks and evolving situation across the border, Hamidullah Khan, he reports from Islamabad. Take a look.
Well, all this started on the early morning of the Saturday, and there were dozens, in fact, in hundreds, the Baloch Liberation Army militants, highly armed, and then there were suicide bombers with them, and they had hand grenades and rocket launchers. And that was a well-coordinated attack on multiple places, at least 9 cities in Balochistan along the Iranian border in the southwestern province of Balochistan. The government said they had earlier intelligence reports and they were ready to engage them. So in all that, but we have seen on street for a few hours, it looked like that the militants were taking control. They were in full control of the street, and the general people were watching them. They attacked the police stations, the government buildings. They destroyed banks and ATM machines and the government vehicles. So there was a complete chaos for 40 hours. And then the military spokesman office issued a statement, and they said that they have killed 145 militants. There were some suicide bombers, women suicide bombers in that militants who attacked these government buildings. And then they said that 17 officers of the Pakistan armed forces were also killed, including the police and then the naval officers in the Gwadar Port and Pasti Port, and then the frontier constabulary, the paramilitary forces. And they said that at least 31 civilians were killed, including 5 women. Later, the spokesman of the provincial government and the chief minister and the interior minister of Pakistan, all of them, they said that attack was sponsored by the Indians. But we have seen that India has denied these allegations and said that it's an attempt to cover the failure of the Pakistan government to control the situation.
Let's now take a look at some of the other stories from around the world. Italy's City of Canals has opened its annual carnival with a vibrant water parade. Leading the festival in Venice was a giant papier-mâché rat, a traditional symbol. It will be themed around the Winter Olympics, due to open this week in northern Italy. The celebration will last a couple of weeks, filled with music, masks and history. And it's party time in Latin America as well. Carnival season is up and running in Rio, with street parties spreading throughout the city weeks ahead of the main event. Music and elaborate costumes, they are filling neighborhoods ready for what's considered the world's largest festival, set to begin officially a week on Friday. The parades feature samba dancing, with the celebration deeply rooted in African as well as European cultures. Those are the latest developments this hour on RT India. Thanks for watching.